to order. The first item is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
You know, I thought we were going to make one change to the order of
Correct.
the closed session items. Were we not? Were we going to put the performance evaluation for legal counsel
Correct.
before the other items?
You want to do that one first, Scott?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
There.
do that.
Okay. Are you okay with that,
Yeah,
Gina and
yes.
Catherine? Okay. So that'll be moved first under closed session.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to the amended approval of the agenda?
I'll make a second.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Director Clark will lead us in the flag salute, followed by the invocation by Director Elconin.
You'd please stand, the flags before. Right hand over your heart, if you would, and pledge. And pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You would join me, please. Dear Lord, I just want to come before you and thank you for so many things. I thank you for this weather. I thank you for just keeping everybody safe as they travel, Lord. I thank you for being with us. I ask that you continue to be with this board of directors as we try to do what is best for our patients, our residents, our staff in this community, Lord. I just ask that you continue to be with us while we do this. And Lord, let us depend on you and all of our questioning to be answered as we do your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Third item is the admission statement, which is to read, who wants to read it. Item C is the public comment portion of the meeting. Is there anybody from the public that wants to make comment or presentation? Once, going twice, okay. Item D is the audited financial statements for fiscal year 2024, and I'll turn over to Gerald Tucker. Oh, okay.
I'd like to introduce Joe Tucker from JWT Associates, the partner there. We've been working together for probably about 12 years or so, so I can vouch for him. It's all right.
From islands to mountains.
That's right.
You want to just stand up here or you want a table or would you like a chair? Whatever
Yes,
works for you. Yeah, sorry. I'll stand.
Hey, John,
Yes, sir.
last year the accountant looked better than this guy does.
I can tell I'm in the dark. You know,
That's why the lights are off.
I called John the other day and said, okay, I've come up with a board. What's the dress? And so we got at least another guy here in a suit and everyone's kind of casual. If I'd have known I was doing it in the dark, I wouldn't have worried that much about what I'm wearing, but anyway, yeah, it's good to be with you. When an auditor reports to the board, there are 4 things that have to be reported to the board. And if there's an audit committee or a finance committee, they get it as well. So I'm going to go through those 4 items first. And then you're already 6-7 months after the year end. We're reporting on the June 30, 24 year end. John's new, he's gone through some stuff and got up here. We got everything nice and cleaned up. We were able to get all the audit documentation, get the audit done. I'm not going to go through line by line or whatever. If the way I present is I'll present the 4 main things that have to be presented. I'll talk about some technical things or some things that I want to make sure you know that we look at in the audit that impact the hospital significantly. And then if you have any questions about the draft, let me know. I mean, and I'll answer this, and I'll answer those so that hopefully when I'm done, you have an opportunity to vote and approve the audit, and then we can put this thing to bed for next year and finish up, get your cost report done and whatnot. So the 4 items first is what type of opinion do you receive for the audits? You actually receive 2 audits every year. You have a standard financial audit, which like all businesses that require an audit need. That's basically us going through your financials, making sure that they're properly put together in accordance with GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, and making sure the reporting is all right and the form and format of the audited financial statements are correct. So that's the first report. And you got an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. That's what you want. The second one is a governmental audit. Since you're a district, you fall under what's called governmental accounting as well. So then we have to expand our testing and expand some of our other steps that we do during the audit so that we can then give an opinion on the government side as well, where you also got an unmodified or a clean opinion. So basically with that, on the government side, it's a little more of, are they getting governmental money? Yes. Are they spending it like they're supposed to be? Yes. Are there checks and balances in place to make sure the money goes where it's supposed to be? Yes. And so we go through all of that, and that's what that report goes through. So 2 reports, financial audit, governmental audit, both clean opinions, okay? And stop me if anyone has a question, raise your hand or whatever. Second, we have to talk about, as we go through all of our testing and audit work, are there any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the internal controls, and are there any reportable conditions? A significant deficiency and a material weakness, that would be is if we found an error. So I came up, I started auditing the books, and I find an error, and I have to correct the error. And if it's material, we set materiality level, depending on how big the hospital is, then that's a problem. And we didn't have any of those. And if it's a reportable finding, that's if we find anything illegal happening, you're falsifying cost reports, this, that, whatever, regardless of the amount, we have to report that to the board. And through all of our testing, transaction testing, balance testing, confirmations, talking with attorneys and everything that goes with on the day-to-day operations from a financial standpoint of the hospital, if we find anything, then we summarize those and we bring them to you. No issues. All the testing all the documentation was clean. Everything we asked for, we were able to get. Everything was in proper order and everything tied out. So we were good. So that's good as well. No audit adjustments. Of course, one of the reasons we're so late is John was in cleaning up. When John and I work together, typically John and his staff will go through and almost do like what's called a pre-audit. They'll clean up everything. They'll go through all of the accounts and whatnot. And so when he hands the package to me, it's pretty well clean. Plus, we talk throughout the year and make sure that if there's anything technical or new or whatever, we'll talk about how that needs to be booked and whatnot. So by the time I get here, it's already been properly reported. So no audit adjustments. A couple of late client entries. What's a late client entry? It's where the audit has started. We're still working through the audit, but John and his staff find things, they get late information in or they're finishing up the reconciliations, and they book adjustments and just give them to me. So it's not an audit adjustment. It's not like an error. It's just him continuing to do the work. And we wanted to get the audit started and really start getting through this stuff because we figured it was going to take a little longer this year. The 2 late client entries, one is cost report settlement. That's pretty standard with every healthcare client we deal with. You get your financials done, you have a preliminary set of financials, you send them off to your cost report guy. He gives you the cost report, it comes back. Then John and him, they'll go through and they'll look at what do we have on the books for open cost reports in prior years? What's the status of those? What's the new year's cost report? And all that gets booked and straightened out. And you picked up about $2.9 million in income with the cost report entries. Okay, so that's the current year, and then updating the prior year cost reports on wherever you are. You're either being audited or you've been, initially settled or final settled or whatever. And then there was a workers' comp audit. We were waiting to get the report, the results on. That cost you about $64,000. So every year the workers' comp guys will come up and they'll go through, they'll do an audit, make sure you report everything right. And you usually have a little true up. And so you had a $64,000 true up. Overall, so you picked up about 2.8 million in increase in revenue from the time I started the audit till what you're looking at in the financials. So that's the third one. Fourth one is, are there any
Can I
difficulties?
ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
On the work comp?
Hmm?
We've got a thrift store. Now we sort of got separate books on. Right, John?
Yes, sir.
Volunteers in California are covered under work comp. Are they in the audit? Or how did we do that?
Depends on where they're listed.
There,
Where are they?
but the audit takes place on this workers' comp is they look at our payroll that we report at the beginning of the year and then compare it to the payroll at the end of the year. So those people, if they're included in our payroll, are covered in the workers' comp. So our payroll went up.
Pay volunteers.
Well, we don't pay volunteers, so they're not covered.
Mhm.
The
But they-
volunteers,
they-
we have accident insurance on the volunteers. It's a separate policy.
They're covered under work comp. Okay, that's okay. Go ahead.
But you guys can sort that out. I mean, every hospital has volunteers and whatnot, and they have specially, set up policies to cover volunteers. It's not going to be a standard workers' comp because they're not employees, they're not being paid, but they're covered for accidents, slip and falls, that kind of stuff. If they're, working at the gift shop or whatever, they slip.
Separate building.
Yeah, and they slip on a soda or whatever, yeah, so. Anyway, and then we get confirmations and we get reports from all your insurance carriers and from all the attorneys you deal with. And so if there's any open claims or whatever, we can assess those and make sure that they're all within your insurance coverage. And maybe you have a deductible there, but we make sure that everything's that's not a financial burden or a potential huge liability. We look at all that stuff as well. Okay. Fourth thing, there were no difficulties encountered with management and performing the audit. There were no disputes or disagreements with management during the course of the audit. John and his staff, they did a good job of wrapping things up. The reporting we looked at was, everything was good. We agree on how things are and how they need to be reported. John doesn't, he's not a loose cannon too much, but so no issues there. So those are the four things. So basically a clean audit, no issues and no reportable findings. Okay, questions? Right, so a couple of significant accounting issues that we do look at. You guys, being a district hospital, you participate in the IGT program every year. Hopefully that sounds familiar. It's an intergovernmental transfer. It's a huge and very complicated and convoluted program, but for public hospitals, which you are, or governmental hospitals and other hospitals, it's all tied together with this IGT, QAF. It's a giant Medi-Cal supplemental program, basically to help based on certain volumes. It helps hospitals with heavy Medi-Cal volumes to cover their costs because Medi-Cal reimbursement isn't that good. So and we look at all that. We make sure that the payments out are properly reported, payments in are properly reported, all the other reporting that needs to be done for that program, that it's done in a timely and an accurate manner so that the government doesn't come knocking down the road asking for their money back. And you paid about 1.5 million this year. You received about 4.6 million back. And so you netted about 3.1 million, and all that was done correctly. COVID money is done. So that's all done. You had a last little bit of recognition of the COVID money. So the COVID money came in and you had to recognize it as you spent it and reported it. So you picked up a final of about 1.3 million this year in COVID money, and that's done. All the COVID stuff's done. PPP's done, provider relief funds are done, supplementals are done, ERC, everything's done. Yes.
Is there any possibility of them clawing that back with all the activities going on nowadays?
Well, have you ever dealt with the government?
It's possible.
So there's always a possibility. The problem, the situation with COVID, and we all know how it happened, is the program was put into place so fast, and the payments were made. I mean, before they even kind of finished how the program was going to work, the payments were made. Hospital accepted the money, and then you kind of had to accept it and then hope that you could match the reporting requirements. You've done all your reporting requirements. You've done your single audit reporting and your HRSA reporting and all that everything's done. They are just now starting to come out and audit a few healthcare providers that took COVID money. Some passed with flying colors. Others, depending on what they use to offset the COVID supplemental money, you can either offset it against expenses or you could offset it against lost revenue. Most hospitals offset it against expenses because very few really had a huge drop in revenue. It's not like a local store that had to shut its doors for 5 or 6 months. You guys still operated. Where that goes, I don't know. Bad news is, yes, they could come in and they could, look at all those payments, look at your reporting, and they may have some adjustment. It's a very similar process to when you do your cost report every year. You do your cost report, you get an auditor, and a couple of years later, they're looking through, they disallow that, or don't like how you reported this, or they don't like how this was allocated. So, that's the issue. So that's the bad news. The good news is you are well reserved. John and I have had this conversation, and as I do with all of my clients, and there is a healthy reserve on the books so that if any of this COVID money gets clawed back by the government, you've already accounted for it. If it doesn't, and we get down the road a few years, and it doesn't look like it's, there's any more COVID issues, or, these audits or whatnot are going to impact you, then you take it in income or use it in other cost report reserves or whatever. So you're well reserved and protected.
Okay, we can probably make sense, but if somebody had to say over, it would be, I'm the finance guy, would it be John or me?
Say that again.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. If someone shows up at your door in riot gear and whatnot, I'd run out the back. Let's see, this year you've got a pretty significant fixed asset project going. You spend about
Construction in progress.
about $3 million. It's all sitting in construction in progress. So understand that $3 million is money that's out there. It's on the balance sheet, but it's not being depreciated yet. We don't start depreciating assets until they're put into use. So as major parts of that actually get put into use, or certain parts get done and you're actually using them, then John will capitalize those and start depreciating. So eventually, when that starts hitting the books, depreciation will go up. It's cash to build, but it's a non-cash expense, but you've already spent the money. So you'll see that depreciation start going up
We'll
later
get some
on.
of that back on the cost report too.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
And then no new debt this year. We went through and there's no new debt on the books. You guys are paying all your debt as scheduled, and so you're good to go. Questions,
Any questions for?
comments,
Dr.
concerns? Well, you guys are easy.
I guess just
Yeah.
a quick question. Do you have any opinion about like what's going on with the federal government with like Medicare reductions or any of that kind of stuff as a possible going concern down the road? Or?
Well, it's always a concern.
Right.
So I've been, our firm has been going for 20 plus years, and all we do is hospitals. Well, all we do is healthcare, hospitals, FQHCs, and so on and so forth. We get this question a lot. FQs, which I don't know if you have one up here, probably just have rural health centers up here, but they're almost totally dependent on federal funds coming through grant funds to provide to indigent and underinsured people, so on and so forth. You got district money here and grants and whatnot. If I had a crystal ball, I'd let you know. But here's what I have seen over the last 20, 25, 30 years. Healthcare's it's a necessary commodity. Regardless of where the economy goes, healthcare keeps churning along. Now, some individual hospitals have trouble managing and staying on top of things and being able to make the bottom line work or whatever. But for the most part, for instance, when Medi-Cal got too low and when cost of providing Medi-Cal services got too high versus what your reimbursements were, what did they do? Well, they kicked in with QOF and IGT and that kind of stuff. So IGT's been codified. So I don't see that stopping anywhere in the near future. It might morph into some other program, but the government always finds a way to put enough money out to keep the hospitals running, especially critical access up here, right? Yeah. Especially if you're critical access or whatever. No one wants critical access hospitals shutting down, and so they'll find a way to keep them open.
Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr.
Now, having said that, no
guarantees.
Don't just rely on the. You still got to run your hospital like a bit. I mean, yes, you're a nonprofit, you're a district. I understand all that. You got to run it like any other business. It needs to make money. Well, why does it need to make money? It's a nonprofit and blah blah blah. Well, because you need cash reserves. Why is that? Well, because if you want to expand certain projects, if you want to ride out inflation, if you want to attract doctors and other providers, they want to go to financially stable hospitals. So the more you run it like a business. Now, of course, I'm a numbers guy. I know that clinical people say, well, numbers don't matter. We got to give good clinical service. Well, I understand that. It all goes hand in hand. You can't give good clinical services if the hospital goes bankrupt and closes down. So focus on all the clinical, all the services, that's all great, but you gotta, take care of the financial side, because you gotta be financially solid to be able to provide the services. That's kind of how we, accountants look at it, so. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Is there any other questions for Mr. Tucker?
All you numbers.
All right. So, hearing none, we do need a motion to receive and file the fiscal year 2024 audit.
So moved.
Moved by Director Ellis, is there a second? Second by Director Clark. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. You're welcome to stay, but you have to get on the road with.
as much as I love board meetings, I want to get down before I get snowed. I'm very.
And plan.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Drive safe.
Yep.
Drive safely. Okay.
That's his client also. That's where he's coming out.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and Director Elliott did point out earlier that he would like to pull item 14, the CIO report.
Yes.
So that will be brought to new business item number 3. Is there anything else that anybody else would like to pull from consent before we do a motion to? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item number 14?
So moved.
By Director Elliott, is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Second by Director Alconon. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Going on to reports. John, I guess you're up acting for Tim while he's out.
Just gonna go over a few little things we're working on. FEMA, we're still waiting for a response. It's looking good, but until we have that check in our hands, nothing's for sure. The mobile clinic, Greg will be delivering that on Friday, I believe. Oh, tomorrow, sorry. Tomorrow we'll be getting a check.
Friday. That's Friday.
That's right. Right. We're getting a check for 220 grand from Good Samaritan. Our book value on that is about 232, so we'll have a loss of about $12,000. That'll hit our books in, what's this, March. But it was depreciated over 15 years. I think it was depreciated over too long. We should have depreciated over 5 years, and then we would have a gain, but not a big deal. It'll catch up. As you guys see, the power shut off today for the new generator will be completed within the next 3 weeks. It'll save us about $9,500 a month for the generator and transfer switch rental. So that'll go away. Suite C down on the boulevard is nearing completion. Medical records department will be in there by end of April, hopefully. It's looking real good down there now. Our problem is we're looking for parking options because they're going to have about 12 people. So that's 12 more cars. And we've only got a couple slots open right now. So we're looking at lots near there to possibly purchase or lease or something and pave over. But we need more parking.
That was brought up
Okay.
6 months to a year ago.
Yeah, well, we're looking at that now. We have a couple of options. Heidi's been investigating some of the options and we'll report back next time.
We can't just park at the restaurant?
They probably won't do that. I mean, that is too much. Yeah.
Yeah, they close at 2 p.m.
True. We have begun accepting applications for this upcoming CNA program. We've had 25 applicants so far. Interviews are scheduled for March 18th and March 19th. We'll be accepting 12 students. The program starts 4/28. Graduation is on August 13th. Heidi will be picking up checks from Kern Health tomorrow. One for 1.174 million and the other one for 423,000. The first one is for QUIP. That's about 1/2 of what we are entitled to and getting, but we're picking up half of it now. And the other one is for the private hospital direct payment program.
So how do you know she's not going to go to Las Vegas or retire early? Or
Make a run for it.
I have to be down there tomorrow. Are you making a special trip?
I'm going to pick up this guy
Okay, all right,
when he drops off the unit.
okay.
But thank you though.
Sure.
Also, on a good note, we signed a letter of interest with Kaiser. They are going to be providing us about $500,000. We have to send them about 250,000. That's also part of the private hospital program. They are now part of the program. They weren't before. This is the first year. So I sent them a letter of interest and Should be getting that money in about the next month or so.
What is that, like an IGT?
Exactly. It's a private hospital placement, but it's related to Medi-Cal also.
Huh.
They took the place of HealthNet is going away and they're
okay.
coming in.
Okay.
So they could have given us anything they want, but lucky for us that they decided to be nice to us and they're giving us $500,000.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll increase as our revenues with them increase as more people get into that program. We have begun the budgeting process. We're meeting with department managers now, and we're just seeing what's going to be going on for fiscal year 2026. We're accepting capital requests. Of course, not all will be accepted, but we will weigh them and prioritize them and see what we can come up with. There's certain things we're going to definitely buy. I mean, we're getting this was on last year's for the radiology machine, X-ray machine, a new one of those, and then we'll see what else. We have engaged a team, PM Nagel, to review our credit balances. Our credit balances right now are about $900,000. Most of that is from bad posting of payments. So we will also include some training on that for our posters. It's just sometimes if you get a primary and a secondary, when you get the primary, you take the contractual adjustment, the difference between what we charge and what we got paid. Some people are taking that twice because when you get the secondary, they're taking the same contractual, so it makes a credit balance. None of these if they were true credit balances, these people would be taking the money back. They don't wait for you to give it back to them, they just take it. Our charge master review with Coral Health is well underway. It's being run by pretty much Sherry, Brenda, and Sally, and we are beginning to make implement some of their suggestions. They're on some coding and different things, different codes that we should be using. We also are comparing our prices to other hospitals. Most of them are pretty good. There's certain departments where they're very high. So I'll be making some recommendations on whether to increase our prices, or the lab is very high we're comparing to Kern, we're comparing to other critical access hospitals in the area, and our lab prices are very high. And so we need to look at that. Don't want to take them down too low and really affect our revenues, but we need to. I think that would be a good thing for the community to hear, that we are lowering our prices, and it's kind of a good thing to trumpet to the community too. So we will let you know probably next meeting on what we're doing there. Okay. And that's about it, really. Any questions on that?
Any questions for John?
I have no questions.
That's right. John, thank you for
You're welcome.
any questions either, so.
Good.
Alrighty. Don't have any old business this afternoon, so we'll move into new business. And item number one is resolution 2503. This is a resolution declaring surplus property. It's on pages 105 through 106. We don't need to read the resolution for the record. Is there any questions or comments on it?
I read through it.
Yeah, page 106 has the exhibit of what's going to be sold, these four items here.
Actually, just one item.
Oh, just one?
Details on it, and since the packet was posted, we did get more information. We're trying to figure out the age of the unit. We had to call the manufacturer, and they said it's 35 plus years old.
Okay.
Looks
That's
almost
not on
broke
there.
in.
Everybody for asking.
We need a motion to approve that.
Yeah, do I have to do a roll call though, too, on this? We do need.
Okay, motion to approve this presented.
Okay, so moved by Director Park. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Director Elliott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the resolution is adopted as presented.
Never let it be said we don't get our money's worth.
For
35 years.
Item 2 under new business, this is a ER physician contract for Dr. Owen Bowers. John, I'll let you talk about this if you want to just give a brief.
We're trying to hire we're short on people in there. So like Dr. Holland been working 14, 15 shifts a month, which is
Okay.
more than he wants to, I think. We're trying to get that. And unfortunately, the rates are going up. So we need to meet the market rates. So we've also provided something to Ross Elliott, showing what the different from 2021 through present, what we're paying the doctors. If you look at it, it's going up, but it's market rate right now. It's almost doubled from the last 5 years. So that's what we're trying to meet in order to retain and recruit these doctors. We need to pay them market rates. So I'm recommending that we accept this and move on.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions for John? This is on pages 107 through 114.
I make a motion, we accept it as presented.
Okay, there's a motion by Director Parks. Is there a second?
Well, second.
Second by Director Elliott. Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved as well. And then item number 3, Director Elliott, you pulled the CIO report. She had some questions.
I did. Let me look at the paper.
You're welcome.
Power's back on. Look at that. Less than an hour.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
just in time
Nice.
for Carrie's report.
Nice.
I asked him to do that. He texted me, he was like, is it okay if we turn it off? Just wait a minute. Great moment.
You were texting him now.
71.
Just everything.
Carrie, the question I had on was the third bullet from the bottom, we're partnering with local gyms to bring $25 paycheck reimbursement to staff with active membership. What's that about?
In my guessing game of what you were gonna ask, that's what I. So what we've done is, it's kind of like a morale boosting thing and investing in employees who are investing in themselves at the local gym. So there are 3 gyms in the area. We've worked out an arrangement with all of them where employees will come in, show their KVHD badge, and then monthly, each of those gyms will send us a report of who the employees are. And then as each employee who's on that list will receive a $25 reimbursement on their paycheck for gym.
Okay. So it seemed like it was an expense that the boards never talked about. And I don't know if this
It's
is,
a pretty minuscule
it's
expense.
$75,000 if every employee goes
Every
every month.
employee did it. But the assumption was made, and pretty safe assumption that not every employee.
I realize probably not,
Yeah.
but what if? How do we pay for that?
I don't have the answer to 75,000.
That's what I wanted to talk about. It's like, I know that we've set aside a certain amount of money for the employee incentives program, and I just didn't know that this had been rolled into it. And so I just was wondering
So
when and how that
so
happened.
far, I've got sample reports because we put a due date for the gyms who are participating. And the one gym that sent me a report, there were 3 employees participating. So the numbers are expected to be pretty moderate.
The good part about it is if we get healthier employees, our health insurance will go down too.
Absolutely. I mean,
That's the way I look at it.
I think we can make an argument for it. Scott, does the board need some kind of action on this so that we can't?
Hour and a half.
Good job, Bob. To make sure we don't run afoul of the gift of public funds.
So this would not be a gift of public funds.
Okay.
This is kind of, as Carrie said, we consider it an employee item. So, and it's part of the benefits package that would be offered to the employees. So just like they can accept health insurance or decline health insurance, they can accept this or they can decline it. And this would fall, I would imagine, under the budgetary categorization of employee benefits.
Okay.
So what we do need to do is make sure that the policy for the benefits memorializes the fact that this is offered to the employees and the rate.
Okay. So
I don't know if this falls within that budget category that currently exists or not. If it's if the money is pre-approved, right, even if it's not specifically for the pool of money that the board has approved in the budget, then I'd say you're fine. If it's under the CEO's authority, which would be 25,000, you're fine. If neither of those things are true, then we would want to bring it to the board, and then next year it would go into the budget and it would just become a line item in the budget.
I should add too that I did talk to Scott and go back and forth on the best way to do it. His suggestion was pretty close to the one that we. So.
thank you.
So I have been approached by a couple of employees who have gym memberships outside of the valley, and I said, this is only for local. I think it's a local thing.
Yeah, to go That's,
Yeah.
that's pretty messy.
Yeah, because you wouldn't get reports from outside gyms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could provide statements. Their own, because they,
Yeah, I mean,
need a policy right away then.
I mean, it's the gyms that are willing to participate.
it's gonna be hard to direct them, that they have to go to specific ones if it's in the.
I mean, just like health insurance, or anything like that, those are the ones that the hospital has approved to be part of our package. It's the same type of thing, is the way I would look at it. You can't do business with every single, or work out an arrangement with every single gym in the state of California, because we don't know where all of our staff live. Just,
I'm just referring to if it's something that we're gonna put into policy, how do we not recognize?
So I think if the board was inclined to do something like if an employee has a gym membership and the district will reimburse them $25 a month for that membership based on proof payment for that membership, I think that's great.
Just seems
Because
like
the point,
a-
from my perspective, the point isn't to get people to go to the 3 local gyms. The point is to get people to go to the gym wherever they are. And so you could write the policy such that it would apply to that.
Clearly, we have employees that live and reside outside the valley. I just think we need to leave it open interpretation. Have clearer understanding so everyone is treated equal.
Hey, I didn't get that discount when I signed up. Just letting you know.
this is about a week and a half old, so.
And that's exactly how long, because they said we just started that. And I was like, oh.
It shouldn't.
They said, are you on the payroll? I'm like,
So if we
not
can-
really.
if we can get the policy revised just to add a line in to cover this, I'd be a lot more comfortable having it memorialized that here, we're doing this and the board blesses it.
Just put a separate line item in the shoot budget. That'd cover it.
Good.
Yeah, once we see how many people are gonna use it, we should know by then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you putting a limit on the amount
No,
of the gyms?
no, I'm gonna,
The $25, I think is appropriate.
Whatever the deal they work out with the gym, that's what we wanted to do, was make sure that their arrangement with the gym was an arrangement with the gym. But the benefit for being an employee here is that we, so.
how many people are using it this year, and I'll estimate for next year, but I'll leave a little cushion in there too.
You know, so create a pool for employee incentives.
Yeah.
Put the money there.
Well, and if the gym membership somewhere else is higher, we're still going to reimburse them the $25.
That's the
limit.
No matter how much it
Okay.
costs.
No matter how much or how little.
And I'd support it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's creative and could end up being some really good outcomes for our employees. So I think it's a good thing. I want it documented that here, we're on board with this and this is a legitimate benefit.
Great.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve Carrie's report or accept it.
That's not
Approved.
Approve it.
Moved by Director Elliott and seconded by Director Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Passes. So we're now on to item I, which is director's comments, not appearing on the agenda. So we'll start with Director Parks and move our way down. Anything?
It's not that lights on.
Awesome.
That's it?
Director O'Connor?
I didn't get I didn't get the thing for the gym. Just put them out there. No,
You need a badge, is what you.
no
I
comments.
can make you one.
You got a badge.
I did. If it's not,
The Arizona sheriff doesn't work.
Director Elliott, anything?
Yeah, I am doing a research project thanks to John and Heidi
It's the
and Amy.
He's the one to put it together.
I got your email today. Thank you. I haven't opened it yet, but I knew what it was, so thank you very much. I wanted to look at the physician contracts. So I've been looking through all the physician contracts that we have, that the district has, and trying to figure out the value of each contract, and the way that they're structured, you can't actually figure it out. without knowing how many patients they've seen that month and how many hours they worked. And so I've asked for the actual accounts payable. How much did we pay on each contract over the last few years? So if you're interested in that information, Amy's given it to me and I can share it with you. Don't know where I'm going with it yet. I just have a couple of ideas that maybe we can bring up down the road.
Okay.
Is the district interested in hiring doctors as employees?
That certainly is something we should discuss. I know we have a couple of positions as employees.
Limited to the clinic.
Yeah, because the healthcare districts are certainly, now that they have the statutory authority to do that, and it's no longer the pilot project, I'm seeing more and more healthcare districts because the physicians prefer that. They want it, they don't want to have their own practices. They want the certainty of the work and the income. And so, notwithstanding the best efforts of the California Medical Association, we're starting to make inroads with hospitals employing physicians. So
Any capacity? ER, hospitalist, anything.
the big advantage with being the independent is that you can give it a 2-year income guarantee. Right? Then after 2 years, that goes away. But being the employee, you have that guaranteed income anyway. So it's not really much of an incentive for them.
Yeah, honestly, what I want to look at is to see what we're actually spending and just to discuss what the alternatives are to maybe we can cut some costs.
It may be cheaper to have them as employees.
Maybe,
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's those kinds of discussions that I'd like to explore.
Some don't want to be employees, they'd rather be independent contractors. It helps them on their tax return.
And
What it is.
sure. So anyway, that's what I'm up to.
Okay. Thank you.
Glad you had nothing to do.
It's fun to retire, Director Clark.
I have nothing other than it's nice to see a crowd in the audience instead of you all on Zoom. Thank you for being here.
So they were forced to be here because the power was out.
It's all right. I don't mind.
And yeah, I agree. It's nice to see everybody. Thank you to the staff, everything that you do here at the hospital. And also thanks to John and Amy for helping get the audit ready for today and getting that approved. So anyway, that's all I had at this point. So at this point, we're going to adjourn into closed session at 2:43.
I got this.
Perfect.
Didn't hear you.
I said cute lamp.
It's not about.
Sure. Litigation, okay. So we will adjourn out of closed session at 3:14 and then go to closed session.
We're ready? In closed session, the board conducted a personnel evaluation of general counsel and received the medical quality report. The other items were not discussed and no action was taken.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we are adjourned at 3:14. Thank you so much.